I think, Mr. Arun, let's start. The team is ready, I hope.
All right, sir. Good evening to all the exuberant educators. I think the house is full, right, sir? We have
Yes, you
300
have to
guests.
go YouTube live also after
Yes,
this.
yes. So my job is to invite today's moderator. For that, let me welcome our most intelligent AI, just a rather very intelligent system, Jarvis. So I'm turning him on. Okay, so here we go.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Jarvis, the virtual artificial intelligence. And I'm here to assist you with a variety of tasks as best I can. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just a rather very intelligent system, who may be technologically advanced and user-friendly for all, do hereby pledge to you my undying fidelity. And I'm very glad to invite the esteemed exuberant educators to the 161st web training series of CBSE Bharat Sahodaya. So it's time for action. Importing all preferences from the home interface. Now without any further ado, let me invite our moderator of the day, Ms. Anupama Srivastava. Ms. Anupama is a dynamic teacher with more than 15 years of extensive experience in teaching, counseling, training and development and soft skill training. Currently she is working as a middle school social science teacher at Udgam School for Children at Ahmedabad. She has been awarded the most innovative teacher and as the effective resource user teacher in the school. Ms. Anupama, having co-authored social science books of Bharti Bhawan Publications, added feathers to the hat. She is a practitioner and teacher of yoga, prana vidya and other alternative healing modalities. Reading and writing are some other hobbies. Ma'am, we are so glad to have you as our moderator for this day. So I welcome you once again to this auspicious occasion. Please ma'am, over to you.
Anupama ma'am, are you here, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Namaste. Atman.
Ma'am,
Am I
big-
audible, sir?
Yes, ma'am, totally audible. A big, warm welcome to you. Please, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Arun sir, and for introducing us to Jarvis. That was really nice and very, very kind of you. Thank you once again. So, Atman Namaste to one and all present here. Before we begin, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Abdul Salam sir and BTAG for giving me this opportunity. I also extend a very warm welcome to all the participants here. It is indeed a great pleasure to have each one of you as an integral part of this interactive webinar session. I'm sure that this webinar will enrich each one of us here and contribute immensely to our journey as a teacher in changing times. Continuing with its great mission to enhance quality education, BTAG, in association with the CBSE Bharat Sahodaya community and our remarkably talented resource person, Ms. Nirja Marwa, have brought this webinar on activity-oriented teaching learning. It is no secret that the new education policy is going to affect students in a big way. Gone will be the days soon where students will be able to sail through their school days by just memorizing facts and figures. Instead, they'll be required to apply what they learn in a hands-on way in order to demonstrate their understanding of the subject. This is a big change. And we as educators need to equip ourselves to meet the need of the hour. We need to change our teaching methods, reframe our learning outcomes to arm our students with the ability to ability to problem solving and critical thinking, and help the next generation of Indians to prepare for life and navigate uncertain futures. Various pedagogies and activity-oriented teaching learning are the need of the hour. which will instill the 21st century skills in children as envisaged by NEP 2020. Today, in this session together, we would explore different transaction methods and learning strategies for preparing the students to deal with real life more effectively. So before we begin with today's session, there are a few things I'd like to brief you about. Participants, kindly keep your device camera switched on for the session. Any query during the session can be conveyed through the meeting chat box. In order to have an interactive experience, you may dispel your doubts by asking questions. For this, please raise your hand, the virtual hands, and wait for your name to be called out for asking your query. The participants will have the opportunity to receive a certificate only after filling up the certificate and feedback form, the link for which will be shared at the end of the session. Kindly stay connected till the end of the session. Before we start, on behalf of all of us here, I would like to thank Dr. Salam sir for empowering us with such enlightening sessions. Dear teachers, let us welcome Dr. Abdul Salam sir. He is presently working as the Assessor of National Accreditation Board for Education and Training with the Government of India. He has also rendered his services in the capacity of the Principal of the Oxford School, Trivandrum. He is the CBSE Resource Person, Master Trainer, CBSE Deputy Training Coordinator of Trivandrum region, and patron of Bharat Sahodaya. He is the founder and CEO of BTAG, that is Bharat Transformers Academic Group, a consortium of educators and the teaching fraternity across the globe, connecting them together to empower the nation. Dear sir, it is indeed our pleasure to have your gracious presence. I would request you to take over and kindly address the teaching fraternity here. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everybody. Well, enough is given as introduction to the topic today, and only one thing to be, taken care of is the skill enhancement of students, for which we have to have, different student-centered approach. That's why we are sitting here. Our resource person, Nisha Marwa ma'am, is here with a few activity-oriented, pedagogies that will enhance our knowledge and our expertise in giving skill development classes. I would take this opportunity to welcome Marwa ma'am, Nircha Marwa ma'am, and all the educators who have joined. As you know, the room is full, and Mr. Arun is going live on YouTube. Miss Anupama, Dr. Jayanti is not joining. She cannot join because the room is full. So you can skip your, part. So thank you so much, educators. Hats off you to for your, enthusiasm, your interest in learning more and more. You could see many, educators logged in before 6:30. So that's a, wonderful indication site that they are taking care a lot on, enhancing the student skills. So thank you so much. Hearty welcome once again, and over to Anupama ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Your vision for education and passion to transform and shape young minds is truly, truly inspiring. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to turn to our attention to the star speaker of the evening. Joining us today is the highly experienced, skilled, and talented Miss Nirja Marwa. With a strong educational background, she brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to her role as an English teacher and mentor. She has enriched the lives of many and has taught at British School of Languages, Jaipuria Institute of Management, St. Cecilia's Public School, and Pragati Public School at Dwarka. She has been associated with Bal Bharti Public School, Dwarka since the year 2008. She's not only an English teacher, but also a counselor, communicator, and has constantly touched upon the lives of many students and positively contributed to shape their lives. She also has a passion to ink her thoughts and has been regularly writing in many magazines and newspapers. With her extensive experience, diverse skill set, and passion for teaching, she's committed to make a positive impact on the lives of students and educators alike. So, ma'am, on behalf of everyone present here, I welcome you and request you to take over the proceedings for the evening. A warm welcome, ma'am, to you. Ma'am, we cannot hear you. You are muted, I guess.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, now you're audible.
Ma'am, just give me 1 second. Volume. Not sure right now.
You got muted again, ma'am.
Now, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much, Anupama ma'am and Dr. Abdul Salam for the introduction and giving me an opportunity to speak today and share my views with all of you. I know you all are educators in your own line and you all have achieved, you have been teaching in schools and you have experienced how the changing scenario is taking place. So today, I'm just going to share some child-centric activities which are based on NEP. We all know that CBSE has come up with the NEP 2020. And how
Neerja ma'am, 1 minute. Your
Yes.
sound, your voice, audio has some issues. Have you got a mobile phone nearby?
I think, yes, I need to mute that. Then.
Yes,
1
yes,
minute.
please. Mute the speaker also, ma'am. Mobile phone speaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Am I clear now?
Yes, better.
Okay,
Please go ahead. Thank you.
So today we are going to, have this workshop on child-centric learning, which is based on NEP 2020. With this changing scenario, we all are aware that the CBSE has come up with this new education policy. And in this education policy, it is going to be, the attention is going to be on the students. The student is going to be the center of attraction, and the teachers, we are going to help the child to learn more about, we are just going to be a helping hand for the children to learn, to educate them. Whatever the child is learning on his own, and we are a helper in that. Now, how does this work? Now, before I start this, I'll share my screen with you. Just 1 minute. I hope my screen, my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. This is minimized. Okay. Now, today we are going to start with this child-centric learning, and we all know that the traditional way had been when the teacher used to go to the classroom and she used to give that lecture method was there, which was being prevalent till date. It is still there. But now what has happened is now the student is there in the center, and the student is the one, he is actually learning everything from his environment. There's so much to learn from him. It's not only the teachers. Earlier, it had been the teachers from where he used to gain the information from. But now, the student is learning from the educator. He is learning from his peer group. He's also learning from his family. And obviously, he's learning from the knowledge he already has. Added to this, we have the social sites, we have what we call internet, where we have a whole lot of information which is pouring in. So the student does not have any dearth of information. He can attain knowledge from these sites. But what we have to see is, as a teacher, that we need to filter this, whatever information he is or she is getting. That is what our main job is, that whatever the child is learning, is it correct for him, appropriate for his age? This is what we have to mainly focus on. So child-centric learning prioritizes the child's interests and abilities, allowing them to learn at their own pace in their own way, encourage creativity and critical thinking skills in children. So the main emphasis is going to be the child. That means it will be a child is learning anytime and anywhere. It's not just pertained to the classroom. A child is learning from the environment, wherever he's sitting, wherever he is going, he's grasping knowledge. He's looking around, he's seeing the environment, he's seeing things flourishing. Even from his friends now, he's learning so many things. Next now, the key features of a child-centric learning. A child is learning is based on his interests and abilities. Now, this is what we are going to focus on. See, a child, earlier we had this, system of giving knowledge, of giving information, the same information being given to every child, irrespective of his learning abilities. But now we need to cater to the child's interests and abilities as well. That has to be kept in focus. Not only this, but we have to see that the child is actively involved in the learning process. Whatever the child is doing, whatever interests, whatever abilities he has, he is actively involved in that. And it should not be an individual distance. It is not an individual activity. It is a collaborative, interactive. Because we all know at this age that if we interact with people, we collaborate with people, then our learning expands. It expands exponentially. And then the last point here is child-centric learning empowers students to take charge of their own education, develop critical thinking, enhance creativity. Now, the main focus is, how do we do this? How are we going to attain all these things? Because we have heterogeneous classes where we have students of different levels, different interests, different abilities. How are we going to cater to all? Every child, is, if I give a written assignment in the class, every child may not be good at writing. Every child may not be good at reading, or maybe every child may not be good at drawing, if I give that. So every child has a different ability or interest to do. Now, as a teacher, my job now is to look into it and see how can I cater to the individual interests and abilities and involve the child in the class activities which we are doing. That involvement of every child is very important, because once the child gets involved, he starts learning. When he starts enjoying, he starts learning, he starts interacting. And then the process of learning, critical thinking, enhancing creativity, and learning at their own pace, educating themselves, it starts. So, say when we give these projects, group activities to children, we might all agree to this. Suppose we give a project to a child related to any of the subjects, and we make a group of, say, 4 or 5 students. What happens? We might have noticed that not all 4 or 5 students are going to write pages on it, or not all 4 or 5 of them are going to do a, drawing or coloring, or maybe they're going to present the idea what they want to do. Every child, they are going to allocate themselves with a particular duty which they are going to follow. Say role number 1 maybe takes this responsibility of collecting all the information. Second child may be good at putting that information on paper or making a presentation. Next, the third child, maybe he might be good at designing things, and fourth may be good at presentation. So each child has divided, and now this is not the teacher who has done this. Who has done this? We have just divided the groups. The group decides upon a leader. The leader decides the things, and individual student takes up a responsibility to do their part. So now the feeling of a student is that every student has participated, that sense of achievement. Yes, maybe the child is not good at speaking, he's not good at writing, he's not good at even putting the things together. He might just be good at art. He might be entrusted with the duty of collecting all the pictures, related pictures, but when he or she is collecting the pictures, he or she is automatically relating to the topic, searching for it, and taking out the content-based pictures and then putting it up. This makes the difference. Now, what happens is they all are collaborating. They're this teamwork, that is another work which they are learning in this. Unknowingly, the children are learning all these basic things. When they develop a team, they are collaborating, and obviously they are interacting with each other, because without interaction, they cannot complete a given project. So they might be working individually, but by the end, they all are coming together, putting it down on the paper, and one person who's good at it would be presenting it in front of everybody. Now, this is what the group projects, even if we do in, if we assign in a group to perform a play maybe in the class. So again, one child is a writer, others prepare, maybe one is writing the dialogues, others, maybe some of them are very good at enactment. They'll take the whole responsibility of enacting. The other maybe, he just introduces and leaves the stage. One person designs the costumes of the play, that this child should be dressed like this, they can wear this, and this is their hairstyle. So he or she may be good at this. And then somebody, maybe the director, who will, sequence the play and see to it that all the actions are performed appropriately. So this is how this play goes on. So in a simple play, which we see with the children in art, it is the collaboration of all the participants. Every child is participating. But if we go as a lecture method, only the teacher is the one who's speaking, and then the rest of the students, maybe some of them, they may be daydreaming, but some of them, they do not, after a span, we all know, after 10 minutes or 15 minutes, children tend to lose interest. But when they are doing hands-on activity, they are motivating each other. The children are motivating themselves, and they are learning. When they are interacting with each other, they are learning so many new things. This is what happens. Say, if we take maybe a science project, there may be some science teachers here. If it's some science project, a very nice, I've seen this activity being conducted in the class. Say, if a science teacher is explaining digestive system, so how does she do it? She asks, again, she makes a group of students, and then she tells them, okay, now how does this digestion starts? You all have to, assign yourself one part each. Maybe the digestive system starts from the mouth, say teeth, then the saliva, then the tongue, then, it goes down, and then it goes to the stomach, and then, that intestine, all these parts. So how do the children do it? They all stand in a line, and then they start one, and maybe when they speak, say, I am the stomach, and then they produce a little sound, which makes it fun. They introduce themselves, I am the stomach, and I do this. And then the next person say, I am the intestine, and I do this, and then they make that sound, and then they say this. So it becomes, in this way, what will happen is just doing rote memory that, first the mouth, you chew it, then this thing happens. When they stand, it will always be there in their mind, and they'll never forget it. And not only this, they're enjoying the activity alongside whatever they are doing. That is the main point. So, when we assign activities to the student, what is the major focus of a teacher? That we need to, build their creative and reasoning skills is important as children progress through school. So the main, again, what we focus on is their creativity, and not only their creativity, also their reasoning skills. Why this happened? How this happened? How can this be stopped maybe? Then only we are going to produce citizens who will work for the nation, who will work for the country, who will work for the world, for the betterment of the world. Now, they are student-led. Now, whatever activities we need to assign, these are the points which we need to keep in mind before we assign them these activities. And this is what this NEP 2020 is focusing on. When it says that it should be child-centric and activity, when it is child-centric, obviously it has to be activity, because then only we allow the children to be doing something by their own hand. And when they do it on their own, then obviously this reasoning skill also develops. That why am I doing this? What is the outcome which is going to happen when I do this? So they are student-led. These activities, when we assign them, we need to see that they are student-led. The focus in activity-based learning is on the student rather than the teacher. If I give this activity, how is the student going to take it up? What is the outcome from the student's perspective? Seeing this, we find out an activity. And then it should be fun. It is a little monotonous, if it is just, Google search, if it's just copy, then, they do not. Let them think on their own. Give them problem solving something which is fun to them. Children will be developing skills without feeling like they are learning. So this is a great motivational level for the children. Putting children into small groups for projects can be beneficial, as it encourages them to be confident and makes everyone in the class feel like their contributions are important. See, as a teacher, as an educator, I feel when we ask children to speak, they are a little hesitant. And I think all of you might have the same perspective. You might be coming up with children who are not willing to come up and speak, because every child is not comfortable in coming up and speaking. So we cannot expect a child directly to come up and speak. So when we form groups, these children, they encourage each other, and then they motivate each other. This helps in gaining confidence. And when they are confident, when they build up this confidence, then obviously they will feel like that, yes, they are doing something in the project. And when that sense of achievement comes, that confidence comes automatically. It comes with that sense of achievement. Once you start achieving things, once you start getting appreciation from your peer group, not only from the teacher. not only from the teacher, but also from your friends who are working with you. That appreciation is more important. And that builds up the confidence. And that is what, as teachers, we all want our children to be confident citizens. And once that confidence is built up, everything will come out automatically. Now, not all children learn best from simply writing down information. Activity, based learning engages children with many different learning styles, befitting visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learners. So see, children, some of them are visual learners. They learn faster when we present something to them. Some, students are maybe good listeners. Some maybe, they want to draw something, they want to touch, feel, then they absorb things. So every child has their own ability and their own process of learning. So when we are giving these activities to children, now this is the teacher's duty to see that when we give this activity, we're touching on all these parameters. Because every child in the class should get an opportunity to develop his skills according to that particular, main point, whatever he or she has. That is going to help him or her out to excel. We have these skills of, 4 basic skills. We have writing skill, we have reading, we have listening, and we have speaking skills. So these all skills are interconnected. And to start with, listening skill, which we do not give much emphasis on, is very important. A child can only read, write, or speak if he is a good listener. We did an activity in the class. When a passage was given in the class, and as normal, we started with this activity that we give you 5 or maybe 10 minutes to complete. You read this paragraph, which was around 150 words, not a very lengthy paragraph, and it had 10 questions. It was followed by 10 questions, and you have to attempt these questions, and we give you only 10 minutes to do this. Now, reading the paragraph and then comprehending it and attempting all the 10 questions is a pretty difficult task, in 10 minutes. And before the students started, this instruction was given to them that read all the questions before you start attempting the answers. So at the end of 10 minutes, obviously, not even a single child was able to read the passage and then complete all the 10 questions. Why they were not able to do it? Then they were told, what did the instructor tell you? That you need to read the questions before you start attempting the answers. Now, this particular information, they did not listen. And what happened? They started, because they were falling short of this thing, they started writing the answers. In the 5th question, they were asked to read the questions again. In the 5th question, it was written that you just have to answer question number 1. That's it, and nothing else. So what did they miss upon? That listening, the instruction they were given, that read all the questions before you start writing. Now, this is what we also do. So listening is an activity which we need to teach our children also. If they are good listeners, they'll do it. Now we have this, how do, activities which will, uh, how to, give an activity in a class. Now, analyze the need for activity learning in the classroom. What is the need of, 1 minute, just give me 1 sec. I think I have missed on no. Okay. Now, how to proceed with an activity? We have to see that it caters to everything, but how are we going to proceed? How are we going to make this activity? Basic things is we need to analyze the need for activity learning in the classroom. Then identify the topics that you wish to apply activity-based learning to. We all know that whatever we are teaching is not, everything is not activity-based, but then we have to be very selective. We need to come up with some activity when we are teaching, not on everything, but suppose we are teaching one particular chapter, then we need to dedicate at least one activity so that that impression is formed on our mind. Identify learning objectives and outcomes for the lesson. Now, before we plan the activity, we need to be very clear about what do we want to achieve after doing this activity. What are the outcomes from the student's point of view? What are they going to learn out of this lesson? We need to plan and design the activity. We need to identify the sequence of learning events that will best achieve the learning objectives. Identify the sequence that first the child is, what all the child is going to learn out of this activity. Evaluate and assess the effectiveness of the active learning activities. How are we going to evaluate the child once he completes this activity? Whether it is going to be, a speaking activity, whether it's going to be presentation, whether it is going to be some brochure, what is the effectiveness and how are we going to evaluate and assess that activity? Because, when we give it in a group, we are assessing the child, one child, not on everything. That the child should be good at speaking, he should be good at presentation, he should be good at collaborating with everybody. No, we have to set our parameters. What are we looking for? That is what our job is. For example, like, we give an activity while going on a walk, you suddenly come, it's a very simple activity, suddenly come across a talking tree. You end up having a conversation with the tree. What will you talk about with the tree? Work with your friends and present the conversation before the class. Now, the child, we have given this activity. But before giving this activity to the child, we need to know what are the learning outcomes. What are we expecting from the child to develop? So when the child, he is, coming up with this, one child becomes a friend, maybe two friends are there are two trees there and they're having a conversation between them. So what is the child learning? Is it a simple conversation or is the child learning something? Now see, the first thing is the child, this main skill is the communication skill the child is learning. How to converse, how to form dialogues. When
Excuse me, Neeraja ma'am, is your cam stuck or it's my problem?
Can somebody else also help?
Anubhava ma'am, are you there? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I am there.
Is my camera working?
It has got stuck, it seems like, in here.
It's got stuck. Ma'am, just 1 minute, then wait, I'll just look.
Okay, Neeraja ma'am, one more thing.
Yes,
You can also see the chat box. There is a suggestion. Can we discuss more about activities than the theory according to the NEP 2020?
Oh, okay, fine.
What is new? Especially
Okay.
they want to know more and more activities aligned to the NEP.
Okay. Fine, sir. I'll do that. Just 1 minute. Give me 1. Sir, am I visible now? Is my video working now?
Yes, ma'am.
It's there?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
And my screen is also shared?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So, I'll be coming up to the activities. This is what now, this activity, after this, we'll be taking up with the activities. So in this activity also, this activity
Ma'am,
which I'm
again,
discussing is,
sorry to interrupt, but
Yes.
again, it has stuck your camera again.
Also, the audio is not proper.
Even audio is not proper.
Yeah, some kind of squeaking.
It's breaking in between. Just give
Yeah.
me one. Just one. Sir, if you can just give me 1 minute because I'll rejoin. I'll leave and I'll rejoin. I think then it would be better.
No, you cannot rejoin. The room is full, man.
Wait. Then
No problem. You can go ahead. No problem. Continue as you were.
sir, just 1 minute. I'll just start again with my PPT. Just give me 1 minute. Right? Just 1 minute.
Okay, okay. I would like to request participants to have your queries in the chat box. Madam will be addressing because you have come up with lots of expectations. Please have your expectations on the chat box so that Madam can address your queries and you can go back with lots of takeaways.
Sir, is it there my video as well as my voice?
Fine,
Is it
fine,
okay
fine,
now?
fine.
Now it's okay? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So let's concentrate on the chat box also. Now the queries are here. Suppose I'll ask, let's all discuss about this. Is that if we give this activity like this talking tree, what are the students going to learn from this? Let us focus on this first. And then I'll move on. Related to this, we'll move on to the activities then. If we have this, then what do you feel like? What all the child is going to learn from this talking tree if we give this as an activity? Okay, so if you have any suggestions, please put it down in the chat box. Okay, vocabulary would be there. What else would be there? Tenses. Okay, good. This is from the perspective of one subject, maybe role play. They say imagination. Very good. That this is this is what the children are going to learn. But he or she is also going to learn about environmental awareness. They're going to learn about this environmental awareness, maybe empathy or emotional intelligence. All these skills are going to develop with the child, because once he starts doing this, yes, it's very good. We have this answer of social issues, socializing, creativity, forming dialogues. This all is going to come up with this. Ma'am, we are going to take up with this also, teaching of vowels and all. All these things, points are going to come. And then also about reflective thinking. At the end, the child may connecting things to reality. Excellent. Now, this is connecting things to reality. This is a social issue. They'll come and, a lesson learned by them identifying interdisciplinary approach is going to be there. They're going to learn so many things with this one activity, which is very simple. This one activity, they're going to learn, about the social issues, about reflective thinking, confidence building, communication skills, tenses, as you told about, imagination is going to come up, critical thinking is going to come up. So this is what is going to help them out. 1 minute, I can't move ahead. Okay. Next is now we're going to come up with this a little quickly. I'll just move ahead a little faster in this. Now, ways to incorporate student-centered techniques into classrooms, allow for students choice and autonomy, use open-ended question technique. Now, this is the best thing which can happen. You can use open-ended questioning techniques here. Say, how do we use this open-ended questioning techniques with the children? How do we do that? In your classrooms, how do we do this open-ended activities, techniques?
Participants can, use the chat box and let the session be interactive.
Yeah.
You please interact with the resource person. Yeah, thank you.
So, how can we be? See, different subjects have different, and now, it is all going to be interdisciplinary activities. No subject will be treated in isolation. Every subject, this is what we're talking about. We are talking about inclusive education. We're talking about interdisciplinary projects where English teacher is also touching up, a social science. They're also touching up maths. Every subject, maybe science. Now, see, a speaking tree only is related to not only English, but also maybe science. So this is what is going on. So, asking questions which have multiple possibilities as solutions, very good. One example of environmental pollution for pre-primary, this thing, okay, how the activity will be different to learn students. Okay, it's multi-integrated. So questions to ask them to give opinions, fine. Now, what is open-ended is that, maybe once we teach a lesson in any of the subjects, we're not taking up one subject in particular, any of the subjects, we can, in the end, we can say, ask them, tell me about whatever, how you can change the, ending, maybe how the situation could have been changed and in what ways you can implement this. This is, I remember we have this HOTS-based questions. Now, this is what HOTS-based questions are. When we give the power to the child to decide or maybe think out of the box. So they can describe, can we describe it as this? How can it be changed? In what ways can we contribute to this? Then we have engage in explicit instructions, give clear instructions, encourage students collaboration in group projects, encourage student reflection, create individual self-paced assignments, get the students involved in community-based activities and service learning projects. Now, this is what it is. Now, what is, this community-based activities and service learning projects? What are these? We all do it in our schools. We all do it, but then we, do not actually recognize that what all we as teachers are doing. One of them is saying that students can be asked to put themselves in the character's shoes and ask what they would have done in a certain situation. Very good. What can be activity for our national symbols of India? Now, let's all come up to this, like national symbols of India. What all activities can be there? The national symbols. How can the child, we can ask the child, when we sit together, we can come up with so many activities. We can obviously help each other coming up. We can ask them to dress up, enact them, and maybe ask them to guess. Now, one of the child comes up with one of the national symbols and tries to enact it. Let the other students, maybe the child doesn't take out the name, but this is only for primary classes, pre-primary or primary classes where we teach them. So let them come up with the, guesswork. Say, I'll give you one more example of one of the activities once we are over with the slide. Now, community connected means introduction to real social issues. Let us ask the children, say, do volunteer work. Volunteering means maybe simple cleaning of corridors, cleaning of their field, or clean green neighborhoods. They can come up with that. So this is no, ma'am, I'm not changing. We are still on this slide only. Ways to incorporate students. This slide only. Plantation activity, yes, very good. So see, this simple activity of service learning and community-based activities, the child is learning so much. The child is learning so much out of this simple activity of volunteer work. Next slide. 1 minute, I'm stuck in this slide. Yes. Now, this another activity is, journaling. Now, here also you can give, the child to write creative. There are many famous diarists who provide key insight into life through history. You could allocate a different diary entry for each student and then ask them to read it in front of the class. For example, in studying the Civil War, you could allocate students to write as if they were soldiers, civilians, politicians, etc. Let them come into that role and let them do that. Let them think from their perspective. This is how we can come up with this. Next is, see, this, this again could be very interesting. This again could be very interesting. We can make, we can make this, dies, and then we can rotate it. And the children, they can say, okay, which number we like, and then that stops there. And the number it stops, they have to select, they have to read that question, and then they have to answer that. Maybe now here it starts at stops at number 2, and number 2 says, do you agree with the way the story's problem was solved? Why or why not? Now, and then also, when you do these sort of activities, try to give time to the children to think and do it in a group. Give them time to think. And once they are comfortable and confident enough in the class, then then you can go impromptu as well. Then later on, you can do that. So this again is an activity which can be done. One more activity, we had said, somebody said that, they wanted some activities for the primary, this thing. Like they have the journal for, even maths and all. Say in English, very simple activity which can be done. Say, we are learning tenses or maybe verbs, anything like very basic we are learning. So how do we do it? We again divide the class in a group and let this one group, maybe we give them tenses or we give them verbs. So we give them words. We give them maybe let's give 5 verbs. 5 verbs. Just write down in the chat box. Only 5 verbs. Any 5 verbs, please write down in the chat box. Participants, please help me out. Let's write down 5 verbs. Yes. Now we have think, walk again, more. Okay, run, dance, talk. Okay, fine. We have all these verbs. Now let us, in a group, let the children write down these words. Let them decide on these verbs, and then what they do is they ask the rest of the class it's mainly we all play this, cut, what do we call that, a game known as Tambola. We all, we play that game. So it's just going to be like that. So let them write these words. You in a group, you decide these words. Say you decide this word, maybe eat, sleep, walk, we'll take, and writing, learn. We all take up these words. And then, we are going to give these words to the whole of the rest of the class. Then one in that group only, they'll come up and they'll form sentences on this word. They form sentences on this word, on one word. Suppose, eat. Suppose the word is eat. Now the person comes up and says, now the rest of the class is playing. They have to cut that word. He is going to, or she is going to give the hint of that particular word, and the rest of the class is going to cut that word. Suppose eat. So they say, the child frames a sentence from the group and says, I need a plate and a spoon for it. So they have to identify the word. This is a very basic, for a primary class. They have to see that word. Okay, it's eat. So they cut that word. Next, maybe they have this word, walk. They have this word as walk. And the other person comes up and then he gives the sentence that every morning, early in the morning, I go to the garden. Now the rest of the word, they cut this. Now what is being done is, it's going to be an interesting class. Everybody is involved in the class. Everybody is involved in the class. And they're enjoying the activity, and then they're learning the verbs. Because every group has to identify, say maybe 5 or 6 and 7, and then they're framing sentences on that verb, and the rest of the class is cutting and playing with them. So this is how these basic, and it could be tenses, it could be verbs, it could be adjectives, it could be anything. And the same thing, it's not only English which is going to be, it is going to, stop at. It could be anything. We could take up even science. We can take up, maybe say 5 words related to maybe some particular sound, or in sound, or maybe we have energy chapter, which all words are related, and then we can frame it along with it, and then maybe give simple definitions, and then they need to identify. So how it is being emphasized in your brain, the child, he learns it. This is how simple activities, a simple effort from the teacher's point of view is going to help the child and going to make the class very interesting. And mind it, our job is not increasing. Our job is definitely going to decrease. Why? Because the child is learning, we are making it more creative for him, and they're enjoying it and learning it better. And the outcome is going to be wonderful, because the child is going to learn all these things together. Everything is going to come up together. So you can implement it in all. No, ma'am, Vandana ma'am, the slide is not changing. What about slow learners who could not participate in any activity? Now see, if there are slow learners, ma'am, what we have to think about is, in our scenario, we do have heterogeneous classes where we have children who are not, whatever we do, the children do not, some of them are not participating. So, one basic thing, and I'm sure you people are doing all that. One main thing is, basic thing is, let the child sit with one of the person who's actually involved, what we can only provide with, we cannot force the child to learn, but we can provide the child with a high level of motivation. If the child is sitting or in a group, one thing we need to see is, in a group, we should not have all the slow learners. This discretion we need to have. We need to have some children who are leaders also, who need to give work to them according. They have to see. Now, this is what leadership quality we are building up. This is what collaboration is all about. So this is what peer learning is also. Now, in this, NEP 2020, what is being emphasized is, peer group learning is more important. And we all know that children do not listen to teachers as much as to their friends. In my personal opinion, how much I tell my children to speak in English, but they will not. But once their friend is speaking to them in English, they will do it. They will do it sooner or later. But my just telling them, lecturing them will not help them to. So that motivation has to be there. That peer learning, is, let them, as a teacher, let us not, stress them. Let us not say anything. Let them get motivated when they're sitting in a group and then they see people around them working. They will obviously contribute a little bit, and we are not expecting too much from them. We are not expecting too much from them. Okay, let's move to the next one. 1 minute, my slide. Stuck. Okay, now let's come to the assessment, which is very important. If we remember, CBSE has also come up with this, subject enrichment, multiple assessment. We have all of them together. We have, all this. Now, what is the basic focus on this? This is all assessment based. Earlier, also previously, as I told you, assessment, we cannot judge every child on the same scale. We need to have different scales. If a child is just coming up, we know the child is a slow learner. The child, rarely comes up in the class. And the child has built up the confidence to at least come up and speak maybe 2 lines and then go on. So, that is where that assessment, we as a teacher, we need to know that it is a great achievement for the child to come up in front of the class and speak 2 lines. Now, how our assessment should be based, we are the best judges for that student because he has at least come up with that thing. So assessment in child-centered education considered an integral part. It's not, at the end, as we have it at the end of the session, we have those written examination, a child scoring 90 or 95% is an excellent and very bright student, and the person who's maybe is a very bad student, but is unable to achieve that marks. So it is a continuous process, and which is an integral part of the process of learning. So at every step, the child is being assessed of learning as it facilitates the learner and instructor for better grasping of a particular topic. Under inclusive education, again, that all children, even the slow learners, have to be included in this education. And there is something, or it's something of for every child. For every child, from slow learner to the bright student, there is something. Maybe the slow learner is only cutting with a scissor, he's cutting the pics, and the brightest student in the group is the one who's the director who's presenting everything. But then there is everything for every child. So child-centered education should be done according to the mental level of the child, because it's an inclusive class. So that is what I've been stressing upon, is that even if a slow learner is coming and speaking, he's just giving the introduction and going back. So for them, we have to check their mental level and give the assessment accordingly. So learners of diverse background come together and study with normal students in the same class, in the same school, and in the same environment. As diverse learners are present in the class, the teacher should follow the approach according to the mental ability of the students. So all students participate in learning actively. Hence, from the above statements, we can conclude that in child-centered education, we can assess the child in terms of her growth, individual growth. We cannot compare a child, the brightest child has spoken, he's the one who's doing everything, and that child has not done anything. We cannot compare him with that. So it is just his or her own mental growth and development towards a particular goals. So the assessment in child-centered education is considered as an important part of learning. So every individual child is
excuse me, madam. There are many questions coming up. I would like Anubhava ma'am to pick up very important, relevant questions so that we can answer at the end. There are very good questions in the chat box.
Okay, fine.
Yes. Yes.
Please go ahead, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Now we have.
Ma'am.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. We
So,
can
ma'am,
take up some questions here. Before we.
Yeah, we'll address the questions at the end. Now you please go ahead, and Anubhava will note the questions.
Okay, fine, sir. So now this NEP 2020 recommends that in all experiential learning will be adopted, including hands-on learning, which we have already discussed, art integration, integrated projects, which we have already given to the students. Sports integrated education, say we have some yoga activities where we have formations. Now sports integrated activities, we can integrate it with maths also. These poses, this yoga poses and all, we have been doing this, and I've seen this beautifully coming up journey where we have collaborated this with maths. We can do that. Then storytelling based pedagogy, in the storytelling based this thing, we can relate it to all subjects. Maybe it could be science, it could be maths, it could be SST. So in science, when we relate stories, they can students can create narratives. They can create narratives and they can illustrate the scientific achievements. Very simply, I'm not being a science teacher. Maybe Einstein, how I can come, and as Einstein I can come up and narrate a story of my my childhood days, which could be inspirational to others. Let us pick up some main, because all these stories, as maybe scientists or somebody who have achieved something in their life, they have very inspirational stories. So it could be related to history, it could be related to science, it could be related to maths. So all these stories can be conveyed in the way of a story. And whenever we all know, as the children have been brought up and we have come up hearing stories, and we all love hearing stories. So when we tell it in a story form, narrative, then it sounds to be more interesting to the child rather than simply giving them facts and figures. A standard pedagogy within each subject and with exploration of relations among different subjects. So this is how we can relate stories to them. And the best now, experiential learning, occurs when learners are exposed to selected experiences, such as toys, games, projects, crafts, etc., followed up by reflection, critical analysis, and synthesis. Now, see, you can give a simple ask, toys, how we can do that. You can simply ask students to bring clay to the class. If they bring clay, you have different, that box of different colors of clay they can have. Suppose, what we can say, maybe a SST teacher, a history teacher, she's taking up Stone Age. Fine. So she can ask the children with that clay, first of all, they can make different objects. How it came, that civilization, or whatever they want to present, whatever is being presented, maybe what all things were they discovered in that. So they can all make it with the clay. They can make that. Even a science teacher can ask them with the clay. Okay, you draw a heart and maybe those things along with it, those arteries, those veins and all. They can draw it with the clay, not draw it on a paper or a pen, with the clay. And they love to do this. And it's a very simple thing because they can mold it, they can again redo it, and they'll enjoy it. And not only this, that sharing also comes in between. Maybe they ask somebody to help them out. And this can be, they're making it on their own and then they're presenting it. Children get different ideas how to present it, how this could be made. And that, this idea of doing it is imbibed in their mind. And then they can come over and present these different things. So it becomes very interesting when these things, hand-on activities, when these things come in the hand of the child, it becomes like a skill to them. So during this process, learners take initiative, make decisions, and are accountable for the results also. This process keeps learners actively engaged in posing questions, investigating, experimenting, being curious, solving problems, assuming responsibilities, being creative. So these are all the things. And who would not love their children to have all these things? All these things. And, but it is a slow process. It's a slow process. This all comes, with passage of time. We need time because we are implementing it. We are moving to a new generation. We are moving to new things. And, children, adapt to these things more quickly than we do. And they will do it. And once it is there in their hands, they're going to enjoy and they're going to adapt to it very easily. Now, experiential learning methods. There are many types of experiential learning methods, all of which use real-world applications to enable students to think critically about abstract concepts and derive the ability to apply them to solve real-world problems. Some forms are classroom activities, dialogues. They can discuss about the current issues, not only discuss about the current issues, but also provide solutions to them. This is basically for the senior classes, where they can think critically, and they know, how to solve the problems. And once they solve the problems, they can, they can discuss, they can, in fact, debate on it. Discussions, group work, learning by doing, role play, drama, experiments in the classroom and lab projects. These are all part of this thing. Now, useful effects of experiential learning: independence, creativity, and self-reliance lead to development of the skill, life skills, and values. Now, this is what we are working towards. We are working towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. And what is this Atmanirbhar Bharat? This is what the whole emphasis on is on this NEP 2020, where, because everything, if we want to develop a nation which is Atmanirbhar, we need to have independent individuals, and that we are going to make in our schools. So that independence we are going to give the children in school. They need to be independent. They need to be self-reliant. They need to be creative. Self-criticism, self-evaluation are inbuilt components. Now, see, when we give a clay to a child, when he has made a thing, and then he does it again. Now, why is he doing it again? Because he's self-evaluating it and he's seeing that he's not come up to the mark. He's not created it as effectively and he's not happy with the outcome. So what does he do? He puts it together and he starts molding it up again. So this is what is self-criticism. This is what is self-evaluation. A teacher doesn't need to tell him that. Openness to experience in others' ideas. When others are also coming up and showcasing their ideas, then again it is an openness to experience in others' ideas is gaining towards this. Participatory approach and appreciation of diversity and inclusion. When they applaud the other participants, then this is what they are learning to appreciate also. And this is also a very important part of this NEP. Inclusion of self-discipline. A fun learning environment helps the learner retain lessons for a longer period. That we know. That, whatever. So, thank you, sir. I'm over with the slide. And if Ms. Anupama ma'am, if you wish to please come up with the questions which the participants are asking.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for a wonderful explanation of all the activities. There are questions in there. Like there is one question: how do we create a balance between the bright students and the slow learners in the class? You were talking about how to go ahead with the slow learners. Now, so there's a question that how do you make a balance between both the type of learners in the class while taking up the activities?
Okay. Ma'am, we all are experienced educators and all, and I think, maybe we all can share our experiences with each other. But, as such, as I've emphasized earlier also, We have already talked about the slow learners, that peer learning and all. So see, when we are dividing children into a group, we need to be very careful that we have all sort of children within that group. We have the bright student, we have the slow learner also, and we have the average students as well. Because when we give an activity, now this is the duty of the teacher to assign such an activity wherein all the perspectives are taken care of. As I told earlier, that if it is a slow learner, may only be given a simple task of just pasting. He might have to be told where to paste the pics also, but it is very essential to let him or her do that pasting, because that sense of achievement will come that I have contributed something to that. And what is the bright student? Now let us concentrate on the brighter side of the student. Now, what is the bright student doing? He is the one, because nobody has to tell. He automatically become the leader of the group. And he also is learning something because he's making other students work. Everybody cannot be a leader. That is, we all know this. That leader will be identified himself or herself. Now, this leader is going to be the main, wo sutradhar kehte hain hum log, the director of the script. Now, somebody has to be there who has to put all the things together. So this bright student is going to, he automatically come up, and he is the one, when the time comes for the presentation, obviously this student will be the one who will come up and introduce everybody, and he's the one who's going to explain the project to everybody. Now, this is the work of the bright student. He is not only learning subjective part of it, but he's also learning how to allot duties to everybody and how to put them together and manage it as a group. I think I have satisfied the answer. It is a satisfactory answer, or maybe you need more explanation on this.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm sure the query has been answered here. And participants, if you have any other questions, you may put that up. And ma'am, there's another question, like something related to what you were just talking about, that is how to keep the special need children engaged and like having an interactive session. Because many times when they are special needs, they may not feel so much engaged in the what is going on, or they are little hyperactive. So what can be done about that?
Yes, that is the problem which we face. We do have these classes, we do have these children, but then in this inclusive education, we just do not have any other, we don't have an escape board. We have to include all these children in our classroom, and not only include them, but we may need to work upon them as well. So as an educator, when you have so many students sitting in front of you, and you have a particular time period where you are maybe 40 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever the time period is, and devoting your time only to, because these are the children who need your attention and your time. It is a little difficult for us, all of us. But then there we have only a solution is peer learning. We need to have a child who, first we need to ask, there are children in the class who volunteer to help us, and the children only need a little bit of motivation. These volunteers, they only need motivation. Children, they are very innocent, they need those, and these children, if they just get a little bit of motivation and a little appreciation from the teacher, they are ready to help, they're willing to help, because they do not, think about what they are going to gain out of it. So let them sit with some children who are a little helpful, who are ready to help them, who are ready to listen to them. But, do not expect these special need children to do even average work. Even if they are interacting in the class, even if with their friend, if they started interacting with these children, and they try to work upon these things, they are trying to come up to the level, that is enough. That is, you are set in the right path. And this is what, because, you need to include them in the class. And the best way to include them in the class is let them make friends. Let them sit with people who, at least one or two children, who you give them the responsibility to take care of the child. If the child is going to a dance class, maybe to sports, games. So ask the child to take the special need child with them, along with them. So that child will not be, he will not feel left behind. So that is the only solution, I think. And if you have any other solution, please suggest.
Thank you, ma'am, for that. And here also some of the participants are actually echoing what you were just saying, having buddy system, peer friend
Yes,
system.
ma'am.
That is what. And ma'am, I can also see one participant has raised her hand from Caroline's Online Academy. So
Hi, I'm sorry to the name. My name is Rajashekar. I'm a higher secondary teacher.
good
Uh,
evening. Ma'am. Yes.
yeah,
Hello,
good
sir.
evening, ma'am. Good evening. Yeah, it was a wonderful session. Thank you. Just have like two questions with the MEP being implemented. Um, has CBSE accounted for the shortage of time faced by higher secondary teachers with so many things being implemented at the same time? Have they thought about it, and how are they planning to, include these activities? Also, this is going to be time consuming. Of course, we are doing certain things by ourselves, but if we have to make it activity based, and if we have to, cater to the children individually, it's going to take time. That is the first question. Second, is there a resource material that CBSE has prepared, giving subject wise, giving examples of the activities that can be conducted, or is it left to the imagination of the teachers? So that way, uniformity is also not achieved. So um,
Sir, the CBSE, this NEP is still in its initial stages, and it is coming up with experimentation and all. Will be coming up with more, the broader picture will be clearer now. And when you say that higher secondary classes, yes, because we have these entrance exams preparing children for them, and when we talk about these activity, but then let us keep this in mind that the whole process is going to change. Whatever the system is right now, the whole process is going to be changed, and obviously it will take a little time, but even the assessment and everything, it is undergoing a change as per the activities and all. They have given some activities, in their portal, in this CBSE portal. They have come up with activities. This NEP policy 2020 has some activities which are already integrated in their, portal. So you can go through them. But as considered to higher secondary, maybe class 11th and 12th, still that work, is going on, and it has to be, because until and unless this assessment system is not changed, so that is going to be there, this time problem. But then when we come to this, see, it's not only these activities. In English, in science, we have this lab. It's not only that we are doing clay activities, and when we are taking children to labs also for maths, physics, science, all. We are actually, this is activity-based learning only. This is also activity-based learning, where they are learning into things. So slowly and steadily, we'll come to know how these things are being, interrelated, and how we need to go about it. So slowly we'll come to know better about it. And these activities, and some are already available in the NEP 2020.
Madam, let me add to that. CBSE has already initiated a lot of, teaching learning methodology, which is available in manual on the CBSE website, just like experiential learning, just like, competency-based learning, toy pedagogy. So, etc. It's lots of pedagogies are, initiated by CBSE, which are to be implemented, especially the art integrated, learning, teaching learning. These all are, part of NEP only. So these are activity-oriented, teaching learning methodology only. But we have to, spend some time and, whichever is suitable to your time and, your classroom, you have to customize it. So thank you so much, Anubhava ma'am. We are running short of time. Please take one more question from Festin and we'll wind up.
Yes, sir. Yes, Festin, sir. May I have your query, please?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, the session is informative and innovative. I'm a maths teacher. I want to know that now how I'll take activity based in 9th and 10th classes.
So,
CBSE 9th and 10th classes.
9th and 10th classes, fine, sir. So, as per these activities, I think we all are doing this subject enrichment. We are doing multiple assessment. We are already, as an English teacher,
Yeah.
we are, doing role plays. We are doing whatever activities, we have been group activities. We've been doing all this. The only thing is how we have to put it together and how we have to make our activities as such that every child is participating in it. We we are giving them enactments to do. We are also giving them project work, maybe brochures, and presenting them. They are also doing volunteer work.
Yes,
We are
ma'am.
doing a number of activities, and I'm sure you people are also coming up with so many activities in the classroom.
Yes.
See,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'll give you one more, a little, a small example for this. Say, if we want to take a discussion in the class, let every child in the class have colored sheets with them. Just
Yes.
ask them to carry those colored sheets, only 4 color sheets, maybe green, blue, red, orange, whatever color. Let them bring
Okay,
those
ma'am.
sheets. They have those A4 sheets, ask them to bring them. And you ask them questions, just a simple activity in a class, we do not need any grand things for that. And you ask them, say, MCQ questions, and once you finish the chapter.
Okay.
Now, every child does not answer. We all know this, every child. There are only handful of
yes.
students in the class who will give you answers. But then ask them to keep all these sheets on their table and say, this is option number A is this, B is this, C is this, and D is this. Now, you all have to answer. A is red sheet, answer B is blue sheet, answer C is yellow sheet, and answer D is maybe pink sheet.
Okay.
Those of you who say, give me the answers. Now say the class is not looking at it. You ask the question and you write the options on the board, A, B, C, D. The children have to just raise the, their sheet, their colored sheet, just to say which option they. Maybe there are 10 yellow sheets, maybe there are 5 red sheets, and then you come to know how many of them are correct and how many of them without any sound in the class also. But
Okay.
everybody is actively participating in the class.
Oh,
That is what
good.
we want. And we come to know that, how this thing, without any noise, we are just distributing the knowledge. That is what is happening. So this is a simple activity which can be done, there also. And others, there are so many other activities also which can be done related to the subject.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. The class is very, very good class. Nice class, ma'am. Session is
Thank
very
you so much.
informative, ma'am. Innovative also it is. Good. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Anupama, let's wind up.
Yes, sir. So, very interactive session. Thank you, participants. And so, a lot of gratitude and appreciation to Ms. Nirja Marwa, ma'am, for regaling us with boundless discourse. I'm sure whatever we have learned today, whatever we have talked about today, we are going to apply all these things in our teaching modus operandi. We are going to change it soon and make our classes very interactive and activity based, where the young learners are going to reap maximum benefit out of it. So dear participants, as you can already see that there is a certificate form, link for the certificate, and the feedback form is already there in the chat box. So you're requested to fill the form and with all the necessary details. Somebody here in the group was asking about the title. So the title is like the prefix that you would like to have. It is Miss, Mr. or Mrs., whatever it is, along with your full name. That is what the title means here. And finally, I, Anupama Srivastava, along with CBSE Bharat Sahoday, would like to thank Miss Marwa again for her gracious presence and an enriching experience. I would also like to thank Dr. Abdul Salam sir for his magnanimous support and guidance to the entire teaching fraternity. Thank you so much, sir, for such a great opportunity. And a big thanks to the technical team and Arun, sir, for yet again a flawless execution of today's session. And most importantly, thank you all the dear participants for your enthusiasm and active participation. I sincerely hope that this time was well spent for each one of you and each one of us have some good takeaways from the session. Thank you so much. Have a very good night. Take care.
Thank you,
so
ma'am.
much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Neeraj, ma'am. Thank you for
sir.
your time. Yeah, thank you for your time and the presentation. Equally thankful to Anubhava ma'am, Arun Mohan, and special thanks to the participants. Thank you for the participants' intervention, which was very meaningful. So thank you so much. Keep connected. We are winding up. It's 8:30 now. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone.